All right.
There we go.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And Mark Munzenberger, thank you for being with us today. And I am just going to turn things over to you immediately. We already have the screen share going. So tell us about financial fitness
There we
and
go.
student financial wellness.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I'm happy. Happy to have our group assembled. Very pleased to be with you guys this afternoon. As you can see from this slide here, I am Mark Munzenberger from UMCU, the University of Michigan Credit Union, responsible for all of our financial education, and we call it financial wellness programs and workshops and stuff like this. And I think you're going to see today is just an introduction to some good, some good habits and behaviors that we want to start as a college student and then carry us forward as young adults and that type of thing. So if you don't mind, I'd like to start out with maybe a little bit of a fun icebreaker, I guess we could call it. And if we were to, here in Michigan, and I'll tell you, I've lived here my whole life, and I think one of the things that we do all the time here in Michigan is we talk about the weather, because we've got 4 seasons. We've got 4 seasons here in Michigan, and the weather seems to be always changing. But if I were to ask you, if I'll just get a volunteer or two to say, well, what's a weather word that potentially describes how you're feeling about your finances? And I've given you a few hints here, but you can absolutely have creative control. It can be sunny, calm, hazy, anything like that. And John, you are welcome to sort of kick us off if you'd like. If a weather word comes to mind, you're welcome to share.
Well, I think my situation is probably a little bit different than students because I am much closer to retirement.
Yeah.
And I would say my financial situation at the moment, coming out of COVID, is cloudy.
Okay. Okay. And there's probably, some good days and some other days that are a little bit more stressful and stuff like that. Do I have anyone, and feel free, you are always welcome to chat, but if it's easier for you just to unmute yourself and just talk to me for a minute, I'd love to hear from you. Safe environment. Who's got a weather word that maybe sums up a little bit, like, well, it's sometimes it's chilly, or sometimes it's a little hazy, and anything like that. Emily, did you have one that sort of popped into your head? Let's see. Or
I guess I'm not sure. Sunny? Not sunny. I mean rainy.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. That's, yeah, you got it. So Sophia, you're actually sitting in the weather right now. And so you probably, I think it looked nice where you were. Sophia, what would be a good weather word for you?
Yeah, I was thinking like potential for storms, but like it's nice right now just because I'm like living off of savings right now.
Okay. There you go. I like that one, Sophia. I like that potential. That's all. That's an interesting way of kind of approaching it. But listen, all good things, as it relates to, our confidence and stuff like that. And really, that's my job today, is to not only provide you some information and stuff, but to really, make sure that you leave today, feeling okay about your finances and being confident that, you've got the ability to make good financial decisions. And so would you guys agree that, boy, I mean, this happens all the time, really. It's not just 2022 or anything, but there are a lot of different issues that are happening out there as it relates to personal finances. if you were to ask me, Mark, what do you see, between the programs you do and the financial counseling that you're involved in and stuff like that, what are some of those personal financial issues that are, very recent and relevant? And I would probably suggest that this list is not all inclusive, but here's a couple of them. And I have a feeling that a few of you are probably nodding a little bit. You're probably like, yep, a few of these words I've heard or I've definitely heard in the news and stuff. Inflation, right? A lot of us have really been seeing the cost of goods and services go up, especially in 2022. That's caused us to rethink a little bit about some of our spending decisions. What has happened to interest rates? And you'll notice what I'm doing with my thumbs there. Yeah, in general, interest rates have risen, have increased. And all that really means for consumers is if we are doing any borrowing, whether we've got a credit card, whether we are thinking about getting a car loan or personal loan or anything like that, it simply costs more. Interest rates are going up. So the cost of borrowing is fairly high right now. The cost of housing, taxes, investing. How did the stock market do last year? And you'll notice here, I'm sort of giving you a little bit of a shake in the hand a little bit. It wasn't, the stock market didn't perform very well. And for people like John that, has hoped to retire in a couple years and stuff, he probably keeps his eye on the market a little closer than other folks because, he wants to make sure that when he leaves work, his nest egg is safe. And the economy and those kind of things. So there's a lot of issues out there as it relates to personal finances and stuff. So if we were to sort of jump in, let me move this just a little bit higher. And I've got good news and bad news. For everybody. The good news is you can learn money management. I can teach you how credit scoring works. I can teach you how to create a budget. We can talk about savings and investing. You can learn it. That being said, look at the second bullet here, y'all. Would you agree that emotions and values play a factor in how we make financial decisions? It's not always black and white. And especially when there's family involved and others that are very close to us, that are playing a role, that comes into play. Does anyone know what FOMO stands for? That's an acronym. I'm curious if anyone knows what that is a acronym for. FOMO. Sort of, it's still alive and well as it relates to financial decisions.
It's a FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes. And I'm here to tell you that it's still alive and well. As humans, it's not something that comes easy to us. We don't want to miss out. Very closely related to that is a concept called YOLO or YOLO. You only live how many times?
Once.
And you'll see that with yeah. And again, the answer, you guys, is always right in the middle, right? I'm not here to tell you to never spend money on things that bring you joy or take vacations or buy yourself a cup of coffee. That's all very normal and natural. The key is we want to make sure our head and our heart are in alignment. And that sometimes is the challenge. And I've seen, especially in my work with high school students and college students, many times those money lessons that you learned as a youngster, maybe a first job, parents, guardians helping you, stick with you as you get a little bit older. John, do you remember the very, very first job you ever had that generated a paycheck?
I do.
Would you share it? Was it at a business or was it?
Yeah, I worked at a department store.
Yeah, and how do you still remember sort of that first time you actually got paid and, save some of it, spend some of it, that type of thing?
I think the thing that surprised me most was the amount of taxes
Yeah,
that were taken out. I had not anticipated that.
I know, and especially for high school students when they're all excited about making $15 an hour, but all of a sudden they get their paycheck, then it's really more like 12 after all the deductions and stuff. So it's a good life lesson, and I'm sure you guys have had some experience with first jobs and those type of things. So, all right. So you guys, we're going to start right here. This is going to be sort of the basis for what I'd like to talk to you about for the next, 30, 35 minutes. It's this, I call it a blueprint, a roadmap, a blueprint. And what this does is it sort of summarizes or captures what are the key areas in which I want to develop good habits. And I would suggest we all sort of probably have a pretty good definition of a habit, right? Something that happens regularly, consistently, that and oftentimes happens without a lot of effort. It's almost on automatic. And you'll see how this is put together here. It's fairly straightforward. 4 areas: spend, save, borrow, and plan. And it simply says, let's just look at the first one, for example. You're financially healthy when you, number 1, spend less than income. Number 2, pay bills on time and in full. So we're all probably thinking, well, I guess that makes sense. Hard to argue with those. But what do you guys think? Is that always easy to execute? And hopefully we're getting a few shaking our head. It's not. I can share with you that it's challenging for a lot of people. Even that basic balancing a budget, having good savings behaviors, short and long term. Is it okay to borrow money? You can see that big blue circle. Is it okay to borrow money? And everyone hopefully is probably thinking, yes, it is, and we need it. And most consumers need to borrow money for houses and cars and potentially education expenses. The key there is to look at that important word in number 5. Have a sustainable debt load. We just always want to make sure we're in the mindset, never borrow more money than we can safely afford to repay. And if we approach things in that manner, for example, I'll work with people, they can afford a $300 or $400 car payment. That's okay. They cannot afford an $800 or $900 car payment. That's where we want to find that level ground there. So this is just a good model. Before the workshop, I actually sent some resources over to John. He does have those. We've got a really nice handout that provides you a lot of detail about these 4 elements, and it gives you some suggestions and stuff like that, along with a budget worksheet. So I just wanted to make sure I let everybody know that. So either myself or John is happy we can provide you that information because you want to look back and refer back to it. All right. Let me take a quick look. Yes, and we've got a good brochure. Thank you, John, for putting that on there. Appreciate it. Okay, so everybody agrees, Mark, I want to do well. I want to do well in these 4 areas. Spend, save, borrow, plan. I want to have good habits and I want to start them now and I want to keep them going forward and stuff like that. And I'm good with that. And my number 1 suggestion is let's all commit to having some type of plan for our money each month. We can call it a budget. We can call it a spending plan, whatever definition works for you. And don't worry, guys. You don't have to get your notebooks out. We're not going to jot down every penny that we're spending this month, as you can see here. But all I'm really suggesting here is that if we want to do well financially, I just sort of want you to get into this mindset that you're the person in control. You make the financial decisions, you be empowered, and you sit in that driver's seat. And to do that, having some type of plan, whether it's a spreadsheet, a notebook, a budgeting app on your phone, there's a whole bunch of different tools out there. If you take 15 to 20 minutes a month just to create for yourself a plan, so you've got some transparency into your dollars, it will really, really put you in a better position to do well in those 4 areas. And I think sometimes we make this harder than it needs to be. All I'm asking for when I say, you know, we should have a plan, we should have some type of spending plan for our dollars, we all want to have a good idea of these 2 areas right here. So I would just ask you guys, and you don't have to yell this out or anything, but in the month of February, right now, we're all in February, it's sort of early in the month right now. We all have a pretty good idea of what our net income is. In other words, how much can we comfortably afford to spend in February? The sources of income can be financial aid, savings, part-time job, whatever that is. But we've got to determine, what are you comfortable in terms of spending this month, income-wise? And then we're going to compare that with any and all expenses that we anticipate. It could be a housing expense. It could be food. It could be some medical expenses, transportation. For those with a car, we've got to put gas in it, maybe insurance, whole bunch of different expenses there. What do I want to make sure happens throughout the month and by the end of the month? You sort of see how that picture is framed, you guys? The whole purpose of doing a plan is to make sure that that is balanced. My income and my expenses are on a level ground. I'm going to be a little honest with you guys. A lot of the people that come in to my office and need help with financial counseling, one of the most common characteristics that they have is they are regularly spending more money each month than they've got to work with. And they just have not gotten that equation balanced. Their bills, their expenses, their spending habits exceed what their income is. So when I say it needs to be tangible, what do I mean by that? Who's got to get, and just take yourself off mute. Just share what you think. Needs to be tangible. Because that's a little bit of a different word there as it relates to some type of plan. And it's probably not as difficult as you're thinking. When I say needs to be, who wants to take a quick guess?
I think maybe just that we need like actual numbers instead of like guessing about stuff.
Yep. Sophia, I love where you're going with that. I'm going to just share like a simple, sometimes I will ask, you know, somebody I'm working with, you know, do you plan out, do you have a plan, a budget? Oh, I do. I'm like, great. Can I take a look at it? Oh, well, it's up here. I'm like, well, that's hard for me to see, right, Sophia? Actually taking a look at the dollars so you can see it, I can see it, there's clarity there. It just helps us make better decisions. And I promise you that this is nothing that's going to take you much more than 15 or 20 minutes just to sort of take a look at your spending and just kind of make sure that it's consistent with what you thought at the beginning of the month. So thank you, Sophia. Absolutely. I wonder if anybody has ever heard of this. John, have you ever heard of the 50-30-20 sort of budget model? It's something that is not anything that I created. It's pretty popular, pretty common out there. And a lot of students really like this as a starting point because it's so simple. It doesn't have 10 categories. It simply says about half your available dollars should go for your needs. And we all have unique needs, but you can see some examples there: our food, our healthcare, our transportation. About 25 to 30% more for those wants. And those are powerful motivators, right? our hobbies and our traveling and our entertainment. Those mean so much to us, and we've got to have some money that we allocate towards that. And then finally, 10 to 20% savings and paying any debt we have. This is intentionally simple. You don't have to be absolutely perfect with these. But if you were to ask me, do you have any recommendations? I would say, take a look at your spending for the last couple of months. How close or how far away would you be to some of these recommendations in terms of needs and wants? It's just one model out there that does help. Another thing that I sent John right before the workshop started, I do have a sort of a simple Excel spreadsheet that I use often with folks just to help them create their first budget. This is available to you guys. If you wanted to put this on your laptop or that type of thing, I'm absolutely, use it for a couple months. All you need to do is type the numbers in. All the expenses are already there. And it just gives you an opportunity to sort of take a look at beginning of the month versus end of the month and make sure there's no surprises. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that. There are some really nice budgeting apps. Mint is a fairly popular one. You Need a Budget is another very popular budgeting app. So if you're somebody that, I'm not really interested in a spreadsheet, but I might be interested in an app or something, I have a bunch of recommendations. So those are a couple. All right. So here, that's kind of a loaded question, isn't it? How do we stretch our money? Boy, I feel like we could do a whole workshop on how we've gotten through these last 12 months or so with rising costs and stuff. We've all probably had to make some decisions and make sure that we keep our budgets in good shape. But I'm going to suggest on a very high level that this is probably a good place to start. Just make sure if your assignment was, here, I'm going to give everybody a couple stickies, and I want you to put 5 or 6 stickies under needs. What are your needs? And 5 or 6 stickies under wants. And it gives you sort of an idea of like, well, these are the things that have to come first. My bills, my rent, my groceries. And then the spring break trip, that's probably more under the wants or some new clothes or those kind of things. So once we have a pretty good idea of our needs and wants, we can typically do a little bit better in terms of getting that balanced budget. So if you could chat in, or if for those that are able to chat in, why don't you answer this for yourself? For yourself, what's the number one item of these 4 that you end up spending more on each month than you may have anticipated? And all these answers are sort of true, but I'm curious as if you had to choose one, where do you find that you're like, wow, I spent a little bit more on this than I thought once I sort of looked back. And I'm just curious, as you look at these various categories here, what's the number one item that you end up spending a little bit more on each month than then potentially anticipated? Many times when I ask this, that answer primarily is in the majority. John, why do you think food and beverage tends to, I don't know, even though all of these bring some thoughts of, why does food and beverage seem to rise to the top?
I can tell you in the last 12 months, that was true primarily because of inflation.
Yeah.
But without what we've just gone through with inflation, I think there's for a lot of us, if you order in too much, if you are not able to get to the grocery store and save money, I also think sometimes even when you're in the grocery store and you're not having the best day ever, and you
Yep.
know, your favorite comfort food
Yeah.
is calling your name and you're spending more than you
And
probably
then
should.
yep.
It's like I just deserve to feel good right now.
Yep.
So I would anticipate it's really more um underestimating sometimes,
Yeah.
but then also in the moment, just kind of spontaneously, like, I deserve that treat, and
Yep.
so I'm
Yep.
gonna get it.
Yeah. And listen, I'm thinking everybody on this session today could absolutely, say that they have a busy schedule. They're often out and about during the day, and they're going from this event to that event, this class to this class and stuff. And so one of the, food and beverage of this of looking at this list right here is the only one that for most people happens every single day. I can go a couple days without filling my gas tank. I can wait till the weekend for maybe any social activities, but it's pretty rare that I don't need breakfast, lunch, and dinner just to keep my energy up and stuff like that. So, but the reason that we're bringing this up is because sometimes budgets are pretty tight, you guys. And one of the areas that really does make an impact, it is in this category right here. So just sort of ask yourself a little bit, do you find yourself at times during the week and during the month, spending a lot on stuff like coffee and bagel and lunches and stuff like that, where it can really add up. I absolutely love my coffee. It's my favorite drink. But when I'm here at my office, I'm using K-cups. I try to treat myself once or twice a week. It's at Starbucks or it's sort of a treat. But I've gotten into the habit. I usually drink coffee here at work. And so you sort of get the idea here. It's all in, the purpose here is not to tell you never to go to Starbucks or anything, but if it's really becoming a habit, those expenses will add up. And along those same lines, does anybody have any subscriptions that I've got on this page here? And I'm probably getting a few nods. Yeah, and these are all good. We were locked inside for a couple months, right, you guys? And we were getting these subscriptions. I'm totally okay with it, provided that you can promise me that you're using it. There are times when I'll be working with somebody and they're like, geez, we haven't watched Disney Plus in about 12 months and we're still paying for it. And so that could be some opportunity there. We love our subscriptions and we love our conveniences. And I'm, all of these right here. How cool is it when DoorDash comes over and delivers to your door and stuff like that? And absolutely, it's nice to treat ourselves, but it does come with an expense. So we just want to have a nice balance there. So just to sort of finish this area on spending, I've got just a few quick tips here. The first one might be a little bit unusual, and it says, consider cash for small purchases. I just wonder, does anyone have an idea about why I put that one on there? This one's a little bit different. Consider cash, and this is not for everybody, but for some people, it's very effective. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I brought my wallet out, guys, because here we go. And so let's say on every single Monday, I give myself $30 in cash to get through my coffees, my waters, if I want to buy lunch, those kind of things, Monday through Friday. Well, John, I think today is Wednesday, isn't it? Well, here we go, guys. I'm down to $12, a 10 and 2. So on my way home tonight, I'm hungry. Boy, I could use a sandwich. I'd like a $5 or $10 pizza. But if this is it, and I'm like, gosh, do I really want to spend this $10? because I got 2 more days to go, and that's going to leave me with what? For some people, cash, because it actually is leaving your hands, does help sort of balance things out a little bit. Using credit cards and debit cards are very easy, happens in about 2 seconds, the whole transaction. So for some people, for the small purchases, just giving themselves a little bit of cash each week helps them stay on budget. And I am a big fan, and I'm sure you guys are too, of discounts. If you came to my home, you would see 3 cats. Do you think I ever used this? Yeah, $20 of cat food is now $17 or $16, just with this little card right here. And then, of course, I'm somebody that works in the office every single day. Anyone know what this Speedy Rewards? Yeah, instead of like 5 cents off every single, simple little things like that. And I sort of like, I'd rather have the money rather than yeah. So I'm a much more savvy shopper than I used to be. I'm much more conscious of prices and that kind of thing. So, John, do you have any discounts or any stores that you really like? Are you a loyal member of Costco or Kroger?
So for me, it really is Kroger. And Kroger does something really interesting every month, which is send me coupons.
Yes.
And, you know, my husband, I always joke with him when I get something
Yep.
that's actually more expensive. And I'll say, yeah, but we had a coupon. But even with the coupon, that same thing in a different brand would have cost less money. So the coupon can fool you into thinking, oh, I'm saving money, when in fact you may not be. You have to really compare.
Yeah, absolutely. So just, and I'm quite sure, the whole purpose of this is be good stewards with your dollars and set those, make it simple. Guys, here's my wallet. It never leaves. This is with me 24/7. And so I set up a process whereby it's very easy for me to take advantage of the discount. I don't have to send anything in, that kind of thing. So, all right, well, good stuff. Well, let's shift gears just a little bit. I just want to mention very quickly, any financial wellness workshop that I would ever give needs to have a little bit of discussion on savings. And really the takeaway here is, for you right now, would you consider savings a habit, something that's happening, on a fairly regular or consistent basis, maybe even once a month, where you put a little bit of money in your savings account, that type of thing? Or is it more of an event, which is usually defined as something that only happens a couple times a year? Maybe you get a tax refund and you save a little bit of it. If we want to get sustainable success with our savings, we really want to look at trying to create more of a habit. I know one of the things that I do with our credit union members that's very effective is when they get paid, we can actually have 2 direct deposits. 90% of their money goes into their checking account and they pay their bills and use it for spending money. 10% automatically gets deposited into their savings account for whatever they're saving for, emergencies, vacations, and they don't even think about it. We set it on autopilot. And so that's where it becomes more of a habit. And we really like to instill this mindset that savings is really a bill we pay to ourselves. It should actually be on our budget. And sometimes we forget about that. We pay everybody else except ourselves. And so let's try to change that mindset a little bit. And another good thing to remember is, we don't want to put all our savings in just one gigantic bucket. As you look at these colorful buckets right here, would we agree that they're a little bit different? These really are. Let me see if I have it. Elsa, are you with us? would you?
Yes, I'm here.
Elsa, what in the world is that red bucket?
The emergency fund?
Why would somebody need to sort of create an emergency fund? What are examples of reasons we would use it?
Just because life is unpredictable and emergencies happen, like can happen anytime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
car repairs,
Mhm,
medical issues.
mhm.
We have students here at U of M that don't live close by. If they need to buy a plane ticket to get home quickly, that's an expense. Those are
Yeah,
so you sort of
that's me.
see. Oh, Elsa, where are you from?
I'm from Kenya.
That is a pretty good distance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And so my suggestion is students should try to have between $500 and $1,000 sort of set aside in an emergency fund, or we can call it a safety net. And we just want to, for our own peace of mind, have some savings. The Living Life Fund is for maybe those things like I'm saving for a car, or I'm saving to study abroad, or I'm saving for a vacation this summer. It's not your heating bill. It's something a little special. We always want to we want to be able to set some money aside each month for those things that are special to you. And then, John, I would say investing typically happens for students once they finish and start generating income. And that's, you can start investing as a student, but I'm always going to suggest, guys, the red bucket and the blue bucket come first. Start with those, and then investing usually is when you get a little bit older. All right. So I'm just wondering, you're thinking, well, Mark, I don't have a lot of money to save. And I'm agreeing with you. Yes, no argument. But can $100 a month make a difference? Let's say we found $25 each week. One less going out to lunch, $25 a week. We'll take a look. That's $100 a month. If we took that and we decided to invest it, $100 a month for 30 years. If I did the math, that would be $36,000 out of your pocket. And even at a fairly modest return, the stock market returns usually 8 to 10% a year. That's on average. Even at 7%, 7%, which is pretty modest, your money will triple. Just $100 a month. So don't ever think that, well, I can only save $10 or $20 a month or anything like that. That's okay. Remember, all we're trying to do today is create habits. And as we get older, those will stick with us. Anybody have any questions about that quick little section on savings?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
So I think I'm pretty good at saving because I have like a savings account, and my rule is once I send money into that account, I can't remove it unless it's for school.
Okay.
But apart from that, then I don't touch it. But my issue is I'm not like a daily shopper. I don't go to the supermarkets or anywhere. I don't shop with my friends. But when I need to buy something and then I go to the store, I end up overspending. Or if I need to buy something for like an event, like a dress or new shoes or something, then I end up buying a dress and a coat and a pair of jewelry.
Okay.
And, so that's my issue is, yes, I can save, but then when it comes to spending that like once in a while, I tend to spend a lot.
Okay. It's always, I mean, I'll tell you, at the grocery store, an age-old suggestion is always go in there with a list. Because if you just walk into a grocery store and just simply start going up and down the aisles, everything looks great. And all of a sudden that basket gets pretty full. Other things that sometimes work, I always would suggest, Elsa, that you always have a few things sort of longer term that you're saving for. Maybe it's a vacation. Maybe it's whatever that is something that's important to you. That's, it's not, it's going to take a while to get there. It's almost this concept of having a vision board. Do you have something there? The reason that I am not buying Starbucks every single day is because I really, really want to take my family on a vacation this summer. And that $1,000 could go a long way to helping us. That's the kind of things that help sort of keep me like, okay, I want to make sure that I have the bigger picture in mind, the more higher impact things.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, what we're going to do in this last 10 minutes or so is just finish with a very quick little section on credit.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure that most of you have already established a bank account, checking and savings, wherever you are. I'm going to suggest that the second step is to create a credit history. And that doesn't necessarily mean today, but I think that it's a good idea for most students and young adults. By the time they turn 21, 22, 23, they need to have established some type of credit history. Because, what areas of our lives does credit impact? Does anyone want to give this one a try? One is pretty easy. What areas of our lives does credit history impact? So you're sort of answering that so what question. Let's see. Katie, do you want to try this one?
Everything from like renting an apartment to like cars to taking out loans for whatever investment.
Yes. And Katie, the only one that you didn't mention that's important is there are still a lot of employers that use credit reports as a basis of kind of evaluating you as a job candidate. And so it's really the earlier that we can establish a healthy credit history and a good credit score, it helps us moving forward. Credit cards is typically where a college student would begin. It's fairly easy to get your first credit card as a student, but you've got to make sure that you use the card responsibly and at fairly low spending. In terms of pros and cons, this sort of gives us a high-level snapshot, but the major advantage is it's a great way for a young person, a college student, to build a credit history. Because when you need to borrow more money later on, like for a car or a house, if you've got a pattern of managing that credit card well, it's going to make it a lot easier. The number one thing we need to keep our eye on in terms of cons is that top one. John, I'm just curious, what is the average interest rate today, February 7th, 2023, for Visa and MasterCard here in the United States for people with A+ credit?
I would say 15%.
Close, John. It's just a little less than 21%. Credit cards can be a very expensive way to borrow money. So if you are somebody that uses a credit card and makes a decision to not pay the balance in full, maybe you make a partial payment, you will pay between 20 and 30% interest on the money that you carry over into the next month. And so that's a significant expense that we need to be aware of. And I'm not picking on Capital One, I promise. But Capital One here has a student credit card. If you go to their website, this is the student credit card. If you are a Capital One and you're interested in getting a student credit card, that's the card you'll get, a Journey credit card. That's the interest rate that is on their website as of today. 29.74%. If you are a student that is carrying a balance from month to month, this can be very difficult to get debt-free. So we really need to be careful with our credit cards. Always know the limit. Make it a goal, based on your spending throughout the month to pay it off. Then we'll have no interest. And we all probably agree that a credit card is never a replacement for a savings account. We always want to have a little bit of a safety net. A credit card can help us, at times, but this is really a good way to start out with credit cards. Most students I work with, 1 or 2 cards for the first 2 or 3 years is plenty. You don't need 10 cards. 1 or 2 is plenty. Any questions about this?
I have a question.
Sure.
What would you recommend for students to get, like, what kind of credit card, basically, which has a low interest rate?
Yeah, it takes a little bit of shopping around, okay, and that sometimes, Elsa, you will find interest rates are lower when you look at a community bank, a credit union. UMCU's interest rates are almost always lower than what you would find at a bank like Capital One or Chase, which is very large. I also suggest don't pay an annual fee for a credit card. As a student, you don't need to pay $100 just to have this card and stuff like that. So I am also, and I wonder, John may not agree with me here, but I am somebody, I am not a real big proponent of all these rewards and cash back and stuff, because what I see sometimes is it's incentivizing people to use the card so much because they're getting like 1% cash back, but then they end up getting in a situation where they struggle to pay the balance off. So those are a few of the things I would look at. I usually tell students, when you're first starting out, just a no frills, bare bones credit card. And maybe charge your Spotify subscription, or put just 1 or 2 expenses on it every month. Keep it very manageable.
Okay, thank you.
I want to chime in real quick, and you may be coming up to this. One of the things with electronic banking, in addition to your paycheck being automatically deposited, is you can set up automatic payments as well. And so if any of the students on this with us now have a bank account that allows to set up for automatic payments, then you really can know that every month you're going to be paying off a credit card by a certain amount. And because you know that, it means you're not going to go over what you're willing to spend.
Yep, for sure. If the technology and those type of options can really sort of take the work out of it and the stress. So absolutely, that's a great strategy. So along the lines of using a credit card responsibly and starting to build that history, it's going to go hand in hand with building a good, healthy credit score. And so before the session, John and I reviewed all your current GPAs. I'm very glad to everybody's doing great. Congratulations. No, we didn't do that. But so you all know, as students, the higher the GPA, the better. It's the same a little bit with credit scores. The higher, the better. And you're probably thinking, well, why? What does it really matter? Because in the economic world we live in, a good credit score can save you lots of money. Best way is to probably show you an example here. These are my favorite cartoon characters. Here's Charlie, here's Snoopy, and you can see what they're in the market for: a car. They're going to borrow $20,000 for a car loan, but we've got different credit scores. A 640 is sort of a C, a C minus. A 725 would be an A. Take a look, you guys. This is what would happen today in any bank or credit union in the area. A 640, the lower the credit score, the higher the interest rate. That makes the payment more expensive, and look how much you'll actually end up repaying. Almost $28,000. With a better credit score, a lower interest rate, you're going to save almost $100 a month, and you're going to save $5,000 over the life of the loan. A much better use of our money, right? And that's why we want to make sure credit health is important, and we start it as a young adult. How do we build it? Just like John said, we make sure we've got a system, no late payments. And we also make sure that we use the card sort of, I just want to say responsibly, and make sure we're not maxing it out. So I have two questions for y'all. A consumer misses a payment and is reported to the credit bureaus as a 30-day late. What is the typical impact to a credit score? 30-day late. It's about a 60 to 70 point decline just for being 1 month late. So that can be very challenging. Part two of that question, same thing. You're reported as late. I wonder how many years that late payment will remain on my report. It's a lot. 7 years until it drops off. So I love John's suggestion on auto payments. Make sure, we set a good process whereby we're paying those bills on time. And the last thing we need to keep in mind, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is probably more challenging for students that are just starting out than somebody like me who's had a credit card for 20 years. Every single month, we take a look at your statement balance, which is at the end of the month, and we compare it to your credit limit. And we see how much did you use the card this month. If you've got a $100 or $200 balance with a $1,000 credit limit, that's good. You're probably going to gain some points. A $300 or $400 balance, sort of neutral. It doesn't help or hurt. If you've got a balance of $700 or $800 at the end of the month, even if you plan on paying it in full, just because you've used the card so much, it's going to hurt your score. I've seen scores drop by 25 to 30 points just because we've had so much usage during the month. So I know this is a little bit like, oh my gosh, but it's just have awareness, you guys, of how much you're using that credit card. We want to build credit history, but we want to do it carefully. All right. So, John, I just want to volunteer or two as we finish. And let me see. I might choose Katie. Katie, what is, and Katie, I know you're doing well with your money. Katie, what is a habit or action you've taken with your money since you've been here at U of M that you think is going to help you in the future?
Oh God.
I'm Katie, you're probably being too hard on yourself. What do you do well? How do you make spending decisions? I'll bet you're better than you're giving yourself credit for.
I guess mainly spend it on necessities.
Okay.
Like try not to. I don't really have a specific number, but like I don't try to eat out too much.
Okay.
Every month.
Hey Katie, if I asked you right now, hey Katie, are you able to use your phone and check the balance in your checking account? Would you be able to do that?
Sure.
I love it. Right there, you're using technology. All you're doing is like, I'm able to check this and those kind of things. Katie, that's great. Let's take a look. We'll get one more. Sophia, what's a good financial habit or action that you can share with us that helps everyone?
Well, this is kind of like a big thing, and
I'll take it.
I've been in school longer than probably most people on the call, but maybe like a year or two ago, I set up a Roth IRA. So when I can, I put in money into that, and a Roth IRA is basically just like a retirement fund. So
Yes. Sophia, I love that. And is that going, are you going to stop doing that in the future? Or are you going to keep contributing?
I don't see any reason why I would stop. I mean, I haven't
Absolutely.
even been able to put in the full amount that
Yeah.
possible. So I'd at first like to do that.
It is a wonderful habit and approach that you've gotten in. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep on working on that. So I absolutely love that. I know I put you on the spot, but Sophia, you got an A+ for that answer. And so did you, Katie. Absolutely. So before I stop the screen share, everybody, I just wanted to make sure and sort of invite you, if you've got any individual questions, or you even wanted to schedule 15 or 30 minutes just to chat. I've got a few questions. Hey, those kind of things. Reach out to me. I am happy to put that on this, whether it's in person, over at Stamps, or over Zoom. Use me as a resource. I'm always happy to assist. And just reach out anytime you feel it might be helpful. And John and Mark know how to get in touch with me, but here is this also is a good email address too. So all right. So John, we got through it. And I love the contributions and the questions as well.
So just to make sure everybody knows, during the presentation, I did drop some stuff into the chat. So make sure, if you didn't see those, that you can kind of snatch those from Mark's presentation. I want to thank you, Mark, very much for being with us today. And the students who are on with us, I want to thank all of you for being here. And when Mark says, if you have, individual questions, or you just want to kind of go over, more on a personal level, what are you doing and what are you thinking? He means it. He really does want to see you. So please take advantage of that. And Mark, any last words?
Yeah, John, I know I lobbed a few questions at you. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting this, but I appreciate your insights as well. As somebody that works so close with students, but also, on a personal basis, you've got financial decisions you're making and stuff. That's the one thing about finances. It's hard to opt out of all this stuff. We're all forced to make, we've all got this financial system that we're trying to navigate through. So anything we can do to kind of help you and provide you reputable, good resources. Be careful of getting your information from TikTok. And, there's a lot of people that love to give advice on TikTok and Instagram, but make sure it's good. Yeah, but no, John, I totally enjoyed it. The group was very nice to participate.
All right. I thank you all once again, and everybody have a lovely evening.
Take care, guys.